The dad jokes. I'm getting quite good at those. But Adam, are you a CFL fan?
Yes, I am.
Oh, really? What's your team?
What do you think it is? Grew up here. Argos.
Argos. Okay, so what about a Wayne Gretzky fan?
The whole time except for the spring of 1993 when he was playing the Gilmore Clark Leafs. I did not appreciate him at that moment.
Yes, that was a pivotal time. Then they went on to play the Montreal Canadiens, and that was the last time the Cup has ever come north of the border. The Edmonton Oilers were this close this year. Anyways, okay, so what are your thoughts on rare baseball cards?
Well, the massive number of baseball cards that I purchased are currently sitting in a dresser in what was my old room at my parents' house. And my plan is to wait another 20 or 30 years, by which time I assume they will have all become incredibly rare and valuable. So I'm all in favor of rare baseball cards as long as they're tied with elastics in my old room at my parents' place.
I have a pretty nice card collection too. I'm also banking on future retirement. So lastly, here's my last thing. What on a scale of 1 to 10, how much did you like John Candy? Do you have a favorite role, movie?
Overall, I'll say somewhere between a 9 and a 10.
Oh, that's hot.
Uh, oh, that's high. He was very, very good.
I love
In terms of favorite role, it was a bunch of roles, but I loved him on SCTV, and I like Johnny LaRue, the businessman who is not at all connected to the mob. But so let's see, we've got the CFL, Gretzky, baseball cards, Candy. Is there any rhyme or reason to all these questions?
I know they seem kind of random, but trust me, it will all start to make sense. So let's just get into it. In the world of sports, there are teams that win, and then there are teams that dominate. The Toronto Argonauts fall squarely into the latter category. With a record 18 Grey Cup victories and 24 appearances in the final, their legacy in Canadian football is unparalleled. Their most recent triumph came in the 109th Grey Cup in 2022, where they edged out the Winnipeg Blue Bombers with a nail-biting 24-23 victory. This win not only added another chapter to their storied history, but also underscored their remarkable consistency and resilience. The Argonauts boast the highest winning percentage in Grey Cup history, a staggering 75%. This statistic is not just a testament to their skill and strategy, but also to their ability to perform under pressure. Even more impressive is their current active winning streak in Grey Cup appearances, standing at 7 consecutive victories. This streak is a rare feat in professional sports, highlighting a culture of excellence and a tradition of rising to the occasion. The origins of the Argonauts are as storied as their achievements on the field. The team was founded and owned by the Argonaut Rowing Club for its first 83 years, a period during which they established themselves as a formidable force in the sport. Since 1956, the team has been under the stewardship of various business interests, each contributing to the legacy and evolution of the franchise. Understanding the Argonauts' journey is to appreciate a narrative of tradition, resilience, and a relentless pursuit of excellence. Their history is a tapestry woven with the threads of triumph and perseverance, making them not just a team, but an enduring symbol of Canadian football prowess. While the Argonauts have had many winning seasons, one of the most fascinating was in 1991, shortly after a monumental change in ownership. The story of the purchase and the subsequent season is nothing short of wild, featuring an eclectic quartet, an NHL team owning rare coin and baseball card collector, the greatest hockey player of all time, a larger-than-life comedian, and one of the greatest football prospects of the 90s. Welcome to today's episode, where we dive into one of the most captivating chapters in Canadian football history, a narrative brimming with passion, celebrity, and unexpected triumphs. I'm Grayson Miller.
And I'm Adam Weiser.
And this is Muddy York.
This particular slice of Argonauts history begins with one of Toronto's most beloved comedians, a man whose life was as remarkable as it was tragically short. John Candy was born on October 31st, 1950 in Toronto, and he grew up in East York. His early years were shaped by a profound loss. At just 4 years old, he lost his father. This tragedy left young John to be raised by his mother with the support of his aunt and his grandparents. Candy attended Catholic schools, where he immersed himself in football and hockey. However, it was during high school that he discovered his true passion, acting. He appeared in numerous productions, revealing a natural talent that would soon pave the way for an illustrious career. In 1969, Candy enrolled at Centennial College in Toronto, where he initially studied journalism and acting. Yet his passion for performance soon took precedence. By 1971, he left school to pursue acting full-time. During this period, Candy met Dan Aykroyd, a future collaborator who encouraged him to audition for the Toronto branch of the renowned Chicago comedy troupe Second City. Candy's audition was a resounding success, and he was invited to join Second City's Chicago group. For 2 years, he performed alongside future comedy legends like John Belushi and Gilda Radner. In 1974, Candy returned to Toronto, joining Second City's local troupe. His efforts helped bring the group's unique brand of skits and sketches to Canadian TV in 1977 with the launch of SCTV.
SCTV now begins its programming day. Starring John Candy, Joe Flaherty, Eugene Levy, Andrea Martin, Catherine O'Hara, Harold Ramis, and Dave Thomas.
How many good snapshots have you missed because of poor lighting, defective flash bulbs, or weak batteries? Well, you won't have to miss any more, thanks to the Lasermatic Quick Flash. This space-age laser attachment fits virtually any camera and packs enough energy to turn night
By
into day.
1981, SCTV had secured a coveted spot on NBC's late-night lineup. Candy had become a featured performer renowned for his brilliant impressions of Julia Child, Orson Welles, and Luciano Pavarotti. He also created unforgettable characters like the sketchy celebrity Johnny LaRue, the aforementioned.
The following is a paid political announcement. Ladies and gentlemen, we are proud to present your candidate for City Council, Johnny LaRue.
Oh, hi, I'm Johnny LaRue. I want your vote. Now, I'm not gonna beg you to vote for me, and I'm not gonna lie to you or try to fool you with any fancy figures or statistics you wouldn't understand. All I want to do is give you the straight dope on me and why I'm running for office.
His contributions to the show's writing earned him Emmy Awards in 1981 and 1982. While captivating audiences on SCTV, Candy also began making his mark in film. He had a small but memorable role in Steven Spielberg's 1979 war comedy, 1941, and in The Blues Brothers, alongside Belushi and Aykroyd. Candy also played a misfit Army recruit in the Bill Murray comedy hit Stripes, further establishing his versatility and appeal in Hollywood.
Candy's journey from East York to the pinnacle of comedy stardom allowed him to pursue his other passion, football. His love for the game and diehard fandom for the Toronto Argonauts put him in the same orbit as the other two characters you need to acquaint yourself with. One is the most famous hockey player to ever live. You know the guy, Gretz, Mr. 99, the great one, Wayne Gretzky. The other is Bruce McNall, who has a fascinating story involving the most expensive baseball card ever, hockey, Hollywood, and a brush with crime. Bruce Patrick McNall is a name that resonates with both intrigue and controversy. Born on April 17, 1950, McNall's life reads like a Hollywood script, fitting for a man who not only delved into the film industry, but also had an impact on the world of sports. As a former thoroughbred racehorse owner, sports executive, and convicted felon, McNall's story is a fascinating study in the contrast of ambition. McNall's rise to fortune allegedly began with his coin collecting ventures. However, Metropolitan Museum of Art director Thomas Hoving contended that McNall's wealth was bolstered through less savory means, accusing him of smuggling art antiquities in partnership with Robert E. Hecht. Despite the shadow of these allegations, McNall navigated his way into the glamorous and influential circles of Hollywood in the 1980s, producing films like The Manhattan Project and one of my personal favorites, Weekend at Bernie's.
The ultimate B-movie. So, in 1986, McNall transitioned from the silver screen to the ice rink by purchasing a 25% stake in the Los Angeles Kings from Jerry Buss. Just a year later, he upped his stake by another 24%, becoming the team's largest shareholder. His influence grew rapidly. By September 1987, he was named team president, and by March 1988, he had acquired Buss's remaining shares, solidifying his control over the Kings. Then, on August 9, 1988, McNall made a move that would shock the sports world and forever change the NHL. He orchestrated the acquisition of Wayne Gretzky.
For the benefit of Wayne Gretzky, my new wife, and our expected child in the new year, that it would be beneficial for everyone involved to let me play with the Los Angeles Kings. I'm disappointed about having to leave Edmonton. I truly admire all the fans and respect everyone over the years.
When Bruce McNall traded for Wayne Gretzky in the summer of 1988, he knew that Gretzky would change his life. But surprisingly, this didn't just happen on the ice. McNall and Gretzky found synergy beyond hockey, co-owning racehorses and buying a baseball card that would eventually become the most valuable card of all time. Picture this: a multicolored portrait of Honus Wagner, a Hall of Famer, played for the Pittsburgh Pirates around 1910. This card was more than just a piece of cardboard. It was an artifact, emblazoned with an advertisement for Piedmont cigarettes on the back. The cigarette? Quality. Here's the twist. Wagner himself disapproved. He wasn't a smoker and felt that having his image associated with cigarettes would tarnish his reputation. So he requested that his card be pulled from circulation, resulting in a limited number of them ever being produced. As Mike Friedland, a renowned collector, put it, "The person who got this has the cornerstone of the hobby. To me, this is a historical document or a historical piece of memorabilia as much as it is a baseball card. It's the best card I've ever seen." The T206 Honus Wagner card holds a legendary status, and none is more famous than the Gretzky 206.
In 1991, the card entered the world of ice hockey when it was purchased by Wayne Gretzky and Bruce McNall for $451,000. This transaction further cemented the card's status as a prized collectible. 4 years later, Gretzky sold the card to Walmart and Treat Entertainment for $500,000, where it was featured as the grand prize in a promotional contest. The card has a crazy history that follows after that, but we won't get into that here. Just know it's important because it shows that Gretzky and McNall did big deals and took risks. But if you're interested, the card now has an absurd astronomical value. If you're a fan of the new Netflix show King of Collectibles, The Golden Touch, this card makes an appearance with a current estimated worth of, hear this, $50 million. Now that you know the main characters, we can finally get to the extraordinary story of how Candy, along with Gretzky and McNall, transformed one single season into the most remarkable saga the CFL has ever seen. In 1990, the Argonauts were a powerhouse, averaging an eye-popping 38.2 points per game, yet, despite their explosive offense, they fell to the Winnipeg Blue Bombers in the East Final. Their star sophomore running back Mike "Pinball" Clemens captivated audiences with his electrifying play, setting a league record with 3,300 combined yards and winning the hearts of fans. However, something felt amiss in their second season at the imposing Skydome. Attendance numbers were solid though, ranging from 27,000 to 40,000 per game. But the atmosphere lacked the intimacy and energy of the games that took place at the old exhibition stadium. Harry Ornis, the Argos owner, was looking to sell the team. His search led him to Bruce McNall, the owner of the Los Angeles Kings and an acquaintance from the Hollywood Park Racetrack Board.
I was on the board of directors of Hollywood Park Racetrack. On the board was Harry Ornest. And we were talking one day, and he just said, you like Canadian sports. He said, I just bought into the Toronto Argonauts in the CFL. I said, oh, that's interesting.
John loved it more than anybody, and I think one of the reasons that Bruce McNall actually pursued the Toronto Argonauts is because John Candy so much wanted to be a part of it.
In February 1991, Bruce McNall, Wayne Gretzky, and John Candy purchased the Toronto
McNall,
Argonauts.
always on the lookout for new investments and adventures, saw an opportunity. After several discussions and a transaction of $5 million, a deal was struck.
It was McNall who brought in Candy and Gretzky. McNall met Candy because he was a regular at LA Kings games, and Gretzky was his star player and investment buddy. Mike McCarthy, a central New York native with a rich background in football, witnessed the entire process. McCarthy, who had joined the Argos as their general manager in 1989 and later took on the role of VP of football operations, was in the loop early on. Ornest had confided in him about the potential sale in late 1990. McCarthy recalled a crucial meeting at Hollywood Park, where he first met McNall. Although nothing concrete was decided then, the talks progressed. McNall visited Toronto with his hockey team for a game against the Leafs, and the discussions continued over a dinner at an Italian restaurant near Maple Leaf Garden, within the Argos organization. No one besides McCarthy knew about the impending sale. Ornest maintained operations as usual, without laying off staff or cutting expenses, as the team was already operating on a lean budget. McNall's fame in Canada, bolstered by his acquisition of Gretzky, combined with Candy's status as a major movie star, fresh off the success of Uncle Buck, elevated the profile of the new ownership group.
Would you welcome John Candy and Maureen O'Hara? Has John tried to sell you an interest in any football teams at all?
Not. Thank you. The Argonauts, yes.
You going to be involved in picking players and all that stuff?
I'll be blocking for them. With that kind of money I'm looking after.
They aimed to make a splash, which led to talks about bringing in a star NFL player. That star was Rahib Rocket Ismail.
Rahib the Rocket Ismail out of the University of Notre Dame was the projected #1 overall pick at the NFL draft.
There are bigger things in my life that were more public, McNall reflects. I have the Gretzky trade, things of that nature, but certainly the whole experience that year was right up there for me. Rocket Ismail wasn't just any U.S. college football star. He was the full Tinseltown package, faster than a speeding bullet, able to leap tall linebackers in a single bound, and already a media darling who had graced the cover of Sports Illustrated not once, but twice. The second time with the headline, "Ready for Liftoff? Is Rocket Ismail the next megastar?" Electrifying fans as a runner, receiver, and kick returner at Notre Dame. Obviously, that's Canadianism. I know it's Notre Dame. Ismail finished the 1990 season as the runner-up for the Heisman Trophy. Many expected him to be the #1 pick in the upcoming NFL draft. The Rocket was ready to cash in and play ball in the NFL.
McNall had other plans. He approached Team Rocket, a group of financial advisors, lawyers, and more, and sold them on his vision. Things were complex, to say the least. There were a lot of moving parts at all times, McNall explains. The biggest issue was convincing him that he wanted to come to the CFL. It was me trying to explain to him that being the biggest fish in a smaller pond might be better than running kicks back as an NFL rookie. Needing a final push, McNall asked Al Davis, owner of the Raiders, to take Ismail in the 4th round of the draft. That way, if things didn't work out, there'd be a fallback plan. A big meeting at the Great Western Forum, previous home of the Kings and Lakers, resulted in a 4-year CFL deal for the then unheard of sum of $18 million US plus possible bonuses. This was significantly more than Ismail could make as an NFL rookie, and it even gave him a higher salary than Gretzky's $3 million with the Kings. It would be the last time a Canadian football team outbid an American one for a top prospect.
I think it was more of a shock than anything else. He's not going to the Dallas Cowboys. He's going to go play in the CFL.
Toronto fans were beside themselves with excitement.
there was a buzz in Toronto.
How many tickets are you looking for?
Phones have been ringing off the hook.
Remember, this was 4 years before the NBA's Raptors would debut, and a year before the Blue Jays won their first of back-to-back World Series titles. And of course, the less said about the Leafs at that time, the better. The CFL had done this kind of thing before, starting in the 1950s and leading to the 1970s, when several teams beat NFL clubs to big-time players. The Argos famously signed Heisman Trophy runner-up Joe Theismann from Notre Dame in 1971, and it also grabbed lineman Jim Corrigal of Kent State and Jim Stillwagon, the Outland Trophy winner, as best college lineman while he was at Ohio State. Running back Anthony Davis came from USC in 1974, but no clubs had done much of that in the 1980s, so McNall's gambit was a bold surprise. Would it work? I did think it would work because the Argos had a decent core of players and Rocket was one more speed guy they were looking for, said Rick Matsumoto, quoted by the Toronto Star, who covered sports in Toronto for over 40 years. The press recognized that this wasn't just about football, it was about the draw.
I thought, wow, this is pretty cool, Matsumoto recalled. They're going after a name player, and they already had Wayne Gretzky in the fold, and they had John Candy in the fold. It was an exciting thing for sports fans. And those fans flocked in. The first game that season saw fans in excess of 40,000. Candy, McNall, and Gretzky arrived in Toronto for opening day that 1991 season in a tricked-out Boeing 727, accompanied by an entourage of Hollywood stars, including Martin Short, Jim Belushi, and Ali Sheedy. They touched down just in time for the Argos season opener at Skydome, which featured a one-off performance by Dan Aykroyd's Blues Brothers. It was the perfect mix of glitz and football, a spectacle that promised a season like no other. But what truly set this story apart was John Candy's involvement. He wasn't just an investor, he was the heart and soul of the team. Candy could be seen pacing the sidelines at every game, sweating over every play. He was the owner trotting onto the field to tend to an injured player, the one sweeping the locker room floor, and the last to leave long after the players had cleared out. More than any other owner in Toronto football history, John Candy genuinely loved the Argonauts. Here's Rocket Ishmael talking about John Candy for the Argos' 150th anniversary.
Probably the best John Candy memory was, I had the same reaction like everyone else. You see a movie star and your perception is one thing, and then the next thing you know, he's cooking dinner for you at his house. Once I understood what his spirit was, the joy that he brought. I remember just out the blue, I would just jump on him and hug him, and it was like he was all in, and it was genuine. Wayne, I remember it during the Grey Cup, and there was a moment that was pivotal in the game, and I remember, and Bruce McNall told me this, who was the owner who got everything running. He told me that Wayne told him, okay, this is a big moment, Rocket's gonna show up. And just like a sports prophet, that's exactly what happened. And so for me, those two moments, those are the two that
Candy's investment was more than financial. His enthusiasm and personal touch ignited a fan interest not only in Toronto, but across the league. Thanks in large part to Candy, fan interest exploded, saving the Ottawa Roughriders from bankruptcy and bringing new partnerships and funding from the United States.
On his first visit to the team's office, Candy reassured anxious employees, it's all going to change for the better. We're a family. 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 He immediately began building relationships with the players, expressing his excitement to be part of their team and fulfilling even their casual wishes, like installing a cappuccino machine in the locker room. Candy's connection with the team extended beyond professional interest. He treated players to dinners and hosted them at his farmhouse in Queensville, where he would cook for them. His children and their friends attended every home game, watching from a private Skydome box that he had lavishly renovated. Candy's presence alone was a massive draw. Fans roared as he walked into stadiums. He even joined in local traditions like riding a miniature fire truck around the stadium in Edmonton. Through all the road trips and promotional efforts, Candy got to know the players better. He formed close bonds with many, sharing personal moments and stories on flights and in personal settings. In Wayne Gretzky's eyes, without John Candy, there might be no Canadian Football League today. He's a Canadian icon that people idolized and loved, Gretzky said. He would rather go to Saskatchewan to an Argo Rough Rider game than do Uncle Buck 2. That's how much he loved. With Candy doing his thing, the Argos were in strong form, and so was fan attendance. An average of 37,120 fans per game came to watch a 13-5 club that managed to withstand a slew of injuries. The starting quarterback, Matt Dunnigan, was injured for most of the season. He only started 8 games. But the injuries didn't matter. The team kept winning. As for Rocket, he lived up to the hype, amassing 3,049 combined yards, second most ever to that time, including 1,300 receiving, 271 rushing, and 1,478 returning. He played anywhere Coach Adam Rita needed him, even on kick coverage a few times. The Argos players, bolstered by their celebrity owners, stuck together while the rest of the league ramped up the usual Toronto bashing. According to fans at the time, the Argos swaggered into other parks, Edmonton, Winnipeg, Saskatchewan, with McNall and Candy in tow. The sight, according to them, was exhilarating.
We mentioned it earlier, but when it came time to play the Grey Cup that season, the Grey Cup in Winnipeg lived up to its icy nickname, a bone-chilling negative 18 degrees Celsius under a clear blue sky. Much of the crowd there supported the West Division champion Calgary Stampeder. Remember Matt Dunnigan? He was the injured starting quarterback for the Toronto Argonauts. Well, he had to play the game with a separated shoulder on his throwing side, and for most of the 3 quarters, there was little happening. He threw for just 49 yards. Then, Dunnigan found his rhythm, and the Argos found their heat, scoring 3 times in 20 minutes to take control of the game. The clinching score? Who else but the Rocket? After the Stamps cut their deficit to 22-21 with a touchdown early in the 4th quarter, Ishmael caught the ensuing kickoff on his own 23-yard line, sped past a great block from Pinball Clemens, left Junior Thurman grasping at air, and sprinted down the sideline for the touchdown. The most famous beer can in Canadian sports history, until a Blue Jays game a few years later, narrowly missed him as he rocketed 87 yards into the end zone.
The Rocket looks for a hole. If he gets to the outside this time, he's gone. Goodbye. The Rocket delivers. The $1 Million Man provides cause for celebration among the Toronto Argonaut owners. An 87-yard kickoff return. The Rocket, with a late punt return touchdown on October 20th, defeated the Calgary Stampeders.
The Argos won the Grey Cup 36-21 to cap off an unbelievable season. Unfortunately for the Argos, Candy, Gretzky, and McNall, that magic would only last 1 season. The team struggled to repeat its success in 1992, and by 1993, the Argos were hemorrhaging cash. McNall had to do something. So, Ishmael was released from his contract that year to save money. The problems didn't stop there, though. Suppliers for the team hadn't been paid in months, and McNall was going broke. He made some boneheaded financial decisions that would eventually lead him to jail time for fraud. McNall needed to sell the team, and sell the team fast.
In February 1994, while Candy was in Mexico shooting a movie, McNall finally found a buyer for the team. The news hit Candy hard. He briefly considered putting together his own ownership group, but despite his high earning potential, he couldn't find a partner with deep enough pockets. A week or 2 after learning the team was being sold, any hope Candy had of continuing with the Argos in any capacity was moot. For Candy, the loss of the team was devastating. A month later, on the morning of March 4th, 1994, Candy was found dead in his trailer on the set of Wagons East at the age of 43.
Here is Lloyd Robertson.
Good evening. Some stories we're following. Tributes pour in for one of Canada's most famous entertainers. John Candy is dead at the age of 43. Candy was in Mexico working on a movie.
John Candy's legacy lives on in the hearts of Argonaut fans and the history of the CFL. His passion, dedication, and love for the game and its players remain unmatched. His story is a testament to the transformative power of genuine affection and commitment forever cherished in the annals of Canadian football.
Well, guys, that's our episode. Thank you so much for sticking with us. We really enjoy bringing you these episodes. We'd like to acknowledge the Toronto Star for some great articles on the Argos and John Candy. We got some great quotes from there. And the Toronto Argonauts Archive, also a great documentary by TSN called Double Blue. You can check that out. We'll put the link on YouTube in the show notes. Adam, where can the good people find us?
If you're on Twitter, you can go to Toronto_history. If you're on Facebook, you can go to Muddy York History, all one word. We would love to hear from you, and we would love to have you say that we're wonderful and great, and everybody should listen to us.
Thanks for listening. Goodbye, guys.
All right, let's see how ticket sales are going for the Toronto Argonauts. Excuse me. Excuse me.
Yeah.
How are the sales going?
Lousy.
Why?
Your crew's blocking the window.
Sorry. All right, everybody out. Let's go. We're not using this one. Out. Boom. Hi, I'm John Candy. Come on down to the Sky Dome this Wednesday, August 26th, and watch the Ottawa Rough Riders take on the Toronto Argonauts. Tickets. That's the number. How do they do that?